out, girls out. What did they say?
Yes.
Got the curls going. What's going on?
Oh, rolling with the flow or whatever the expression is.
Rolling with the punches.
Yeah, I just made it up. Honestly, rolling with the flow.
Yeah,
Exactly, rolling with the punches. Actually, a year ago, around just this time, I was doing my first boxing fight.
for real.
Official one, yeah.
Oh yeah, you do box. Okay, how'd you go? Did you wood that trick? Wood that trick?
I
Yeah,
mean,
how'd it
if you've
go?
seen the picture, I did smash her nose and she started bleeding, which was great, but I didn't win the fight.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, damn. Well, that's cool that you at least. I mean, I don't want to say it's cool that that you potentially injured the woman, but
It was pretty cool. It is a it
trying
is
to be
a
careful with
feeling.
how I don't want
It
to
is a
promote
feeling
violence.
like no other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I actually went to go see Creed recently. Creed 3.
Of course you did. Your cousin is there.
It was a good movie.
I swear, I'm gonna start making people believe that you're actually related to Michael B. Jordan
Yeah.
because I posted this on TikTok, that little clip of me telling you how much you look like Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx,
Uh-huh.
and people love it. And they're
For
like,
real.
yes, agree.
Yeah, no, I get that quite often. I saw a meme. It was like going to go see Creed with your girlfriend, and she and she getting a little too excited, But
Yep.
uh Creed 3 was an amazing movie, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a great movie. I liked it a
It
lot.
wasn't dragged out? Because that's how I feel like with these ones, that it
Ah,
just
this
keeps
this was
going.
good. And the other actor, I forget his name, but the other actor who played the friend, or like the bad guy in the movie. Forget his name. He's another black actor, but he did a great job. I loved his character. He was like he was just it was just a great movie. I really enjoyed it.
I love it.
Won't I won't share any spoilers in case people haven't seen it yet.
Please don't. So this is what happened to me last night. Like I haven't watched the movie, Disney movie Ariel.
Okay.
That's what it's called, right? Ariel?
I'm not sure. I don't
Oh,
really
whatever.
I haven't really died.
The one under the sea.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, right. With the Black Mermaid.
No, but like the original one. I haven't seen
Oh,
any of it.
oh
Like
okay.
I'm known to not have seen a lot or any Disney movies really growing
Okay.
up. So anyway, Alex was like mortified. He's like, I can't believe you haven't seen any of these. Like, what did you do all your childhood? And I'm like, well, that's a completely different story. But anyway, fast forward to last night. We're watching that original, whatever, Ariel. I don't even know if that's the name of the movie, but let's say that's the name. I think it is.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm just spitting out all these questions, and I'm like, I'm always commenting on what's going on. I'm like, why did you do that? And this,
Ah,
and
no,
then
you're not one of those movie watchers.
no, I usually I'm not. I swear, I'm usually not. But when it comes to these, and I start to seeing things that are happening, because I'm coming from the perspective, I've never seen this growing up. Like as a kid, this wasn't my thing. So as an adult seeing it, immediately in the first couple of scenes, I'm like, why do I feel like this is inspiration to Coming to America, which is my favorite movie, by the way. There's some things there that are going on. But anyway, as we continue to watch this, Alex then proceeds to tell me basically the whole fucking movie. And I'm just like, why are you telling me what's going to happen? Because now I don't need to watch this. I already know. He's like, oh, yeah. And then this happens. And then that comes in. I'm like, you're worse than I am. Like, I can't watch this now. So anyway, I fell asleep after like 15 minutes. I was so tired. And I still haven't seen it.
I don't know who's to blame. I don't know to blame Alex for telling you the movie. I don't know to blame you for asking all these questions instead of watching.
Listen, I do
I'm
not
both
like when
to
people
blame.
do
I'm
that
both to blame.
myself.
Huh?
I have a hard time with that myself. But when it comes to, okay, so here's where I draw the line. And I don't know if you feel this way, but if we're watching a movie at home, I feel like it's okay to ask questions or to even pause to have a discussion. I'm cool with that to a certain extent. But if I am taking you to the movie theater to watch that, whatever we're watching, and you start asking me questions, then I'm out. I'm like, I can't do it. So this actually happened to me a few times where I'm like, do not talk to me when we're going somewhere to watch it, because I will not engage in a conversation.
Yeah, no, especially if neither of us have seen the movie. Like, don't ask me the question. I don't know. I'm trying to enjoy the movie, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
But that happened when I went to see Bad Boys, the latest one, with my sisters, and my youngest sister, she just kept asking questions. And I was like, have you not seen the other ones? Why are you asking me these questions? Because you had no context or relation to what was going on. I was just like, okay, remind me to never do this again with you.
Bad Boys.
Yep.
Well, cool, cool. What's on the docket for today? What are
Um,
we talking about?
Let me go back to our text messages because I remember texting you about something. Well, first I wanted to ask you what's going on with ChatGPT, you addict.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. First and foremost, want to be mindful and respectful for those that are suffering with addiction. It's a serious thing,
Of
and
course.
just want to, be mindful of that, keep it professional. But so what's today? So a few days ago, Chat GPT went down.
Uh-huh. And it ruined your day.
And I did not realize how dependent I had become.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I really did not know what to do. And like Google, like when I have to go back to Google and had to go back to like reading through a bunch of links and articles, I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't live without Chat GPT.
So wait, how exactly do you use this?
So I use Chat GPT in two realms of my work today. Number
Mm-hmm.
one is with my writing. So even as simple as sending an email, like I'll often just like brainstorm my like thoughts, like kind of like
Mm-hmm.
free write it and then throw it into ChatGPT and like write a concise email based off of this. Saves me so much time. The other, and this is actually where this impacted me for that day, was with
Mm-hmm.
coding and
Ah,
programming.
yeah.
So ChatGPT is actually very, very, very powerful with coding. It's almost like ChatGPT is like my mentor, where if I can have ChatGPT write me whole lines of code. I can be like, I want a chart.js graph that shows number of users signed up. I want the color to be this color. I want it to pull from this model within my Django database, and it'll write all the code, and I just need to copy and paste it. And then if I get a bug, I just say, hey, I'm getting this bug. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Here's how do you fix the bug? And so,
That's brilliant. I didn't know
no,
that.
so yeah, yeah. So, I mean, really, Chat GPT is very powerful for
Yeah.
programming. Like, I don't like, so you still have to have some base level understanding of programming and coding to even know what questions to ask and how to implement what it's giving you. But it writes code for you, and so I'm just pasting the code into my application.
I
So when
believe.
ChatGPT went down, I was like, "Fuck."
What do I do now?
I gotta write the code, and then also like ChatGPT helps because like with debugging, if like I'm getting this error, I can
Yeah.
it's instead of like reading through a bunch of articles on Stack Overflow, I can just put the error in there and it's like, oh, this error is often caused by this, and then it'll help me with debugging my application. So
It helps you troubleshoot a lot then.
help me
That's good.
troubleshoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
more efficiently than Google. It helps you
Mm-hmm.
troubleshoot, but it also gives you the answer. It's like, hey, here's the code, like, and then it explains it too. Like, here's the code, here's what the code is doing. So then
Yeah.
you're learning too. Like ChatGPT is teaching me.
Oh,
So
wow.
but yeah, I didn't realize how dependent I had become on it. So it was one of those, it was a scary feeling, like, damn, this is, but I will say, AI, I think Google just released, they announced that they're releasing their AI competitor
Mm-hmm.
at ChatGPT, which is great. There's always needs to be competition. So I'm glad
Yeah.
to see people coming out with theirs. Um, but this is very powerful technology. And if people aren't figuring out how to leverage this to make their job more efficient, then you got to figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to impact everybody.
Well, there are people who are on the other side of this who's like, don't like it because they're afraid that it will take away people's jobs.
It is going to take away people's jobs, and it's going to impact Black people and people of color the most, because let's face it, we are still severely underrepresented the higher up you go in these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And companies, corporations look at AI and this type of technology as a replacement to as the lower level stuff, like SDR, sales, marketing, like if coding,
Mm-hmm.
like this will be able to code eventually. So like I can even foresee a future where it's like, okay, we're not going to hire 10 engineers. We're going to hire a great product manager who understands code and is great with prompts. And they're going to manage like 2-3 engineers, and then the rest of the code will just be written by the artificial intelligence. So it's like, so what I was saying is this is going to have a bigger impact on us, because we often, when companies talk about D&I, they talk about D&I at these like entry level positions for the most part. Like that's where they're typically that. We made more leeway in entry level positions versus these like higher level up positions, and these lower level positions in the middle management is what's going to be impacted. So, yeah, you should be afraid, but it should be a fear that motivates you to like understand it and figure out how to leverage it, because there's always opportunity. Somebody making money.
That's true.
So like you got to figure out how to use artificial intelligence. You got to, roll with the punches, right? You got to roll with the punches, because the AI is coming. It's here. And companies are trying to figure out ways that they're going to like implement it.
Yeah.
My company is one of them.
What's that?
Said my company is one of them.
Yes, for sure.
Facts.
I mean, it's interesting, right? In terms of how you use ChatGPT compared to everything I'm seeing, or most of what I'm seeing on like LinkedIn, where people talk about it in the capacity of being in sales and how do you use this when you're in sales. But yeah, I never thought about it and how that could impact the things that you're doing with JobScape.
I think AI is going to be able to help with, in terms of sales. I think it's already helping with like the day in the life of like the task AI is already helping with, like sending an email, knowing who to reach out to at this company. Even from a perspective of like maybe a chat bot on your website that's able to use AI to maybe potentially like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
we already use it that way, but like in terms of like the relationship management and convincing of like understanding a customer's needs and reading the room and their that emotional intelligence piece, I still haven't figured out how AI would replace that.
Exactly.
And I think there is still a lot of that in sales. There is a lot of that in sales, even with this whole product-led growth, with this whole concept of like buyers are more informed than ever. There's still a degree of like, I want to buy because I trust you, and you like, and that's just the fact of the matter. So I don't know if AI will be able to replace that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'll definitely replace a lot of it. Like every company, I think there's going to be buyers that won't need to work with a human. They can work with like a combination of PLG and just being able to sign up, self-serve, and then maybe the AI can look at their usage and propose a package, and that'll suffice. Yeah, that'll suffice their need, right? But I think that there will still be like some bigger, more strategic things that like these people will need to speak to a person. And don't get me wrong, as much as I love the ChatGPT and I leverage it, I still do that. I still have a programming mentor, somebody who I get on the phone with, and he will help me debug and like figure things out. And honestly, both have their pros and cons. Like the AI is cool because I can just, you know what I mean? I could work at it at my own pace. I can figure it out. And sometimes it gives me the full answer, and it's cheaper. It's free. There's like no cost besides my time. Versus my mentor, I do pay him. I pay him.
What?
Yeah, I pay him.
Pay your mentor.
Well, mentor in this degree in programming. This isn't somebody that like I pay him, but he comes on like it's like I pay him on demand. Like that's an app I use called Code Mentor, and so he's not really a mentor, like he's not, but that's kind of their business model where you pay for their time and they coach you and they help you debug. So it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. But
so it sounds like a technical coach,
yeah,
programming
but
coach.
in terms of my mentor though, he's not just a coach. He be writing code for me too. Like he's somebody that like as Jobski grows and as Jobski grows, I would be able to pay him to just write code. So he's my mentor. He's like he teaches me stuff, but he also writes code for me. And usually how I'm not gonna give away all my gems on this podcast. I'm not gonna tell everybody how I'm like I ain't gonna give all the
Come on,
gems.
spill the tea.
No, I can't share it all. I can't share it all. The game is to be sold, not told. But if anybody's listening to this, y'all want to know how I leverage the internet, AI plus people to learn how to code, to learn how to build an application. Sign up for Jobski.io, book a one-on-one session with me, and I'll tell you a little more. It's free. But you gotta use that.
True.
Yeah.
True. That's another way to get around it.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat one-on-one with folks. Just can't be all on YouTube.
That's true. I mean, you could. People do this all the time, though. They give a lot of their stuff, but then it's one thing of giving free education to people, and it's another thing of people actually implementing that free education.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I still don't want to give it all away though. I think I gave away enough on this call. I think if people put the pieces, I think if people put the pieces together, they can figure it out. But I'm not about to give you the whole playbook and step by step on this particular podcast. I'm willing to do it. So folks, if you're listening, again, message me. I'll meet with you one-on-one, and I'm always happy to help. But like, also, I think for the people that would act on this type of stuff, as you were just saying, they already pick up what I'm dropping down. So it's just I don't even need to tell them everything. They're already like, oh, okay, AI, okay, code mentor, find somebody that can help me. Okay. I don't need to break it down for them like fully. If you have that, I think if you have that drive and you have that desire to make something happen, you're gonna put these things together. And if you're not picking it up and you have that drive and desire, you're gonna take me up on my offer to meet with me one-on-one. So
True.
Yeah. But AI.
I hope people do.
Oh, go ahead.
You have so much knowledge, and the way you're using it is different from what I hear. And maybe it's because it's one platform. It's like we're living in this echo chamber on LinkedIn where you hear and you see the same things, and I wish it was different. But you did mention something about competition before, and I saw someone talking about this on LinkedIn. Like maybe LinkedIn needs like a competitor in this space. You know what I mean? Because things are interesting right now in the world.
There's so many companies that have tried to compete with LinkedIn. There's companies today that are trying to compete with LinkedIn. There's also different strategies. Like when I went to go work for TripleByte, I remember this was about 3 years ago now. Met with the CEO. Obviously CEO is going to tell you their vision of the company. He was like, we are trying to debundle LinkedIn. We believe that LinkedIn is Craigslist it's like Craigslist. And then we're like Airbnb. It's coming in, taking a big portion of their user base, which for them was engineers, and making our own community, making our own platform, making our own, all that type of stuff. So one could argue companies like Pavilion or companies like Rev Genius, actually. Rev Genius maybe has that same philosophy, but for revenue and sales. Like that's their approach, right? So like it's less about competing with LinkedIn in terms of building a general purpose social networking, professional networking platform, and more so the strategy of we're going to just take a portion of what LinkedIn does and do it 10x better. So that's what I think of like a Rev Genius's value prop is. So, and then there's other companies. I'm not going to name drop. I'll name drop Rev Genius because I think they're cool and like you were part of that. I'm not name dropping no other companies, but there's other companies that are trying to take the general professional networking platform play, but they're just putting their unique spin on it. So LinkedIn has a powerful moat. It's like everybody's on it now, and they're so highly integrated. Greenhouse, Lever, all these different applicant tracking systems, they leverage, they have LinkedIn. Like you can apply with your LinkedIn. recruiter, like all recruiters, like all they know is LinkedIn. Like every recruiter uses LinkedIn to recruit, to source candidates. So it's like they become ingrained, almost like Google has become ingrained. But then every now and then technology like a ChatGPT comes in and punches Google. And so I think there will be a platform out there that punches LinkedIn. They'll punch LinkedIn and we'll see, because I think every giant is gonna fall eventually. It's just the nature of how the history of the world has worked. So I think it's also going to be who wants it the most. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Why do you think LinkedIn needs a competitor? What is it about LinkedIn that why do they need like a competition? Do you feel like it's not the platform that you would hope it to be, or is it not fulfilling you in certain ways?
No, I'm not saying that I feel like they need a competitor. I'm just saying this is what I'm hearing people talk about on LinkedIn, that they should have some competition because things are not going as well. And like, I saw one post from Colin Cadmus talking about this, that like and he posted about this recently, talking about how the amount of followers that he has on LinkedIn versus YouTube is very different from each other, but the amount of views getting from videos on YouTube are much higher than the views that he's getting on LinkedIn. Even though LinkedIn, he has way many more followers, but it's just different in how that shows up. So the algorithm obviously plays a huge part in this and who gets to see what. But I've talked to you about this too. Like when I post my videos from our podcast on LinkedIn, it gets minimal amount of views, like under 1,000 views. And I'm going, what is this? Like I think last time it was like 700 views. I'm like, is this a joke? Like what happened? You know what I mean? And that might sound like a lot to some people. Be like, oh, I don't even get like a couple
No, it's not a
hundred.
lot. How many followers you got on LinkedIn? You got at least about 10,000 followers.
Almost 13,000 now. But even then, it's like, you can't really put it into that. I don't know. It's weird how this is playing out, because not that long ago, like videos were popping. Remember when a lot of people were posting videos and it was like a piece of education, a different format. Like it is a different format, obviously, of content, but it just performed differently. So I'm thinking, okay, well then why is this going on? And where else do people go? Like obviously we have our podcast on YouTube, and then now we have snippets of it on TikTok. So that's cool, but I feel like depending on the type of content that people are creating, it doesn't belong, like everything can't belong in one platform anymore. You know what I mean? It has to be split up. So we think about all the different social channels that we have. What do you do on which one? Like Facebook is different from Instagram, different from LinkedIn to YouTube, to TikTok, to Twitter. There's just so many. And I feel like it's a bit overwhelming in this world, just trying to figure things out, like where will things perform or where would they not perform at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, we're at the mercy of the algorithms.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, they have their algorithms, they have their experiments that they're running, right?
Yeah.
So that's that. And that might be remember we talked about the punch, something that might be just the thing. Like a professional platform comes around and says, we're going to show you your content to everybody. Now, but there's always going to be checks, and there's always going to be pros and cons, right? Like, how many people on LinkedIn are creators, right? So how important is being able to get your content in front of your followers when you want it, how you want it? What percentage of LinkedIn's user base is that important to? I would say 0.1% of people on LinkedIn are like consistent creators like you and I. So is LinkedIn even do they even care about over indexing for us versus over indexing for the content that their advertisers are? Because that's really what it is. Like they're advertising, like their content is what's getting prioritized, not their creators' content. To a certain degree. So I don't have the answers. All I know is that I'm working on Jowski. We're gonna figure this. We're gonna figure this out. You don't got
the answers, Sway.
I don't got the answers. I feel like Suge Knight though. If y'all want to come to a platform, all the creators out there, if you want to come to a platform, where your content will be seen by your followers, come to Jobski. If you want a voice in the development of a platform, email me, robert@jobski.io.
I love it. I love it. I was just thinking through actually, like, what's your favorite tech sales experience that you've had so far that you can think of?
Experience in terms of give me some guardrails, like
Not like, okay, highlight, like favorite memory, not like what have you done in the job that was your favorite part, but rather, is there something that stood out to you that you're like, oh yeah, that was a brilliant time or experience or memory or an impact?
well, I have a lot of them. I have so many. I mean,
Pick your favorite. The first thing that comes to mind.
well, I remember closing my first B2B deal. It was with a company called Scribd, SCRIBD. They're a tech company in the city. And it was just amazing because, first of all, this was pre-pandemic. So I was in the office, but they had an office in the city. So I had that first call with them. And then my VP came into town and we scheduled an in-person meeting with them. And being in their office and like, that was amazing. You know, this is also remember going and sell to Hyundai. So Hyundai was a prospect that I was working, and we flew down to LA and got to like be in their headquarters and sit in, you know, that was cool. I mean, it's a lot. Obviously, you know, working for some companies where traveling was a thing. So again, pre-pandemic, being able to travel and visit partners, visit customers, those are all experiences.
Love that.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot. I have a lot for every different scenario. I guess I'll point it back to you. What's your favorite experience in tech sales in your career?
I want to say that the challenge, I think, coming into the industry, someone who had no context to it whatsoever, is the one that stands out the most to me. You know, meaning that like when I first started, I remember sitting at my desk. This is when I lived in Boston. I remember sitting at my desk and just feeling overwhelmed. I was like, what do I do now? Like, you got the job. Now what? What do you do next?
Yeah.
I think that was really the kind of defining moments for me to either go, holy shit, this is too much and I'm just going to run away from it and go back to whatever, you know, I was comfortable doing, which was working in HR, or just being like, let's give myself this shot and see where it can take me and let me learn as much as I possibly can. I think that was kind of the defining moments for me in the beginning to kind of choose, do I put everything I have into this, or I always have the freedom to walk away from it, right? And not do it. I think that was the biggest like aha memory moment that I had. But another one when it comes to when I was a BDR, I remember setting up, this is when I lived, had just moved to London actually pretty recently after. And I'd set up a meeting. I was a BDR and I was working with sales managers, so account executives basically. And I set up a meeting with someone at an office in Manchester here, like north of London.
Okay.
And so I remember showing up there and I just thought, and the meeting rooms that we had, it was actually, I could set it up either in this like, I don't know what it's called, like a little bubble is what it looked like. And then they had like a monitor in there. It was pretty cool, like outdoor, like it was outside, but it was indoors within that. And that's where we actually ended up having the meeting. But then also what I thought was really cool, I was like, this is next level, is that you could then sit in a Range Rover and have the meeting in there, like in the back seat of it. And I was like, it was just stationed there, like it was just there, and you can just pop in the car and have your meeting. And I was like, that's cool. So that was kind of like my driver early on. I was like, I need to get more meetings with prospects in this area. So I started to set up campaigns specifically for different businesses around that area so that I can come back and invite them to go there with me and my sales manager. It was so much fun. But yeah, I like that experience. It was a lot of fun.
That's nice. What about sales enablement? What about your new career path, like being in sales enablement? Is there like, do you have a favorite moment so far in this, as you've been in this new kind of chapter in your career?
I want to say that it was actually just last week where I decided to make some cold calls. So I was like, why not do what we're asking
That was your
everyone else to
favorite.
do?
That was your favorite.
That was I know, that was one of my favorite moments. I know, it's gonna be weird, but you know
That can't
why
be
it was,
okay. Go ahead.
you
All
know
right, go ahead.
why it was my favorite moment is because I'm not expected to do it, and I don't need to do it, but I decided to do it anyway, and it actually brought me down one level to have much better understanding and empathy for our salespeople. Like, I have been in sales roles before, I've done this before, but I haven't done it at this company. So that I found like a really cool experience to get to do that. And I've continued to do it now on a regular basis with the reps. And I think it's cool being enablement when you can do the work that you're asking other people to do. And then you can also coach them on that same work in between and afterwards. And so holistically, like, it makes sense, like being enablement to do the work, but then also coach them on what we're doing. So I think that was a really cool experience. I definitely want to continue to do, but generally speaking, like now that I'm in enablement, I would say my highlight moments, the consistent ones, is actually just sitting down with reps, mainly one-to-one. It's cool being in larger groups too, but people aren't in my experience, as open always to share or to collaborate in that kind of setting at all times. But being able to sit with people one-to-one and really get to know what they're going through, what they could potentially need help with, and getting to see a part of their world and their experiences, that I think that is the really cool part of the job. And I basically get to be like, a coach, I get to be a cheerleader, I get to be a counselor, like I get to be everything in one. And I love that.
That's awesome. Sounds like, I mean, I could tell you really love your this new career that you're in. And
Yeah.
no, that's amazing. That's amazing. So many stories.
They're
Have
endless.
you ever oh, actually, I don't know if I should we should go that way, but
Those are usually the best questions.
I was gonna ask because we're talking about our favorite memory, but have you ever experienced like blatant racism or sexism in your career? I don't know and if we don't have to talk about this on this episode, we can table it, but I'm curious if you have stories like that come to mind where it's like maybe on the not so positive side, like things that you've experienced.
No, I haven't.
You haven't? That's a beautiful thing.
I know. And it's probably going to come as a shock to a lot of people. It's like you read my mind, Robert, because I was literally just thinking about this a day or two ago, where I'm like, okay, I keep seeing people expressing these different experiences that they have, especially women in this space and women of color. And I haven't had any of those targeted towards me, right? And I also haven't been lucky enough not to get any inappropriate messages sent to me, anything that makes me go, whoa, what is going on here? Like, I don't get any of that. Now, have I received microaggressions? Absolutely, I have. I can talk about that. But no one has ever so far come to me directly and said something inappropriate or something hurtful or something that makes me go, what are you, what? Like, no, so far, nothing like it. But yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I know.
Wonderful.
Why were you asking the question?
I was just curious because we're talking
Yeah.
about like memories and our experiences in tech, and it's a roller coaster. It's not all shits and giggles. It's not all like roses. It's some things you have to overcome. Some decisions you have to make.
Of course.
And I've definitely experienced. I think I've experienced some microaggressions, but the microaggressions I'm more so like. I dust them off, like, because there's nothing micro about me. It's all I'm trying to be macro. So if you micro, I can't even see. I'm stepping on the micro. But
Yeah.
I definitely experienced some blatant just disrespect, and because obviously being a Black man in tech, you're typically the only or one of the only.
Mm-hmm.
I got a story I can share.
Please do. I love
We
storytelling.
can't post this on a clip on LinkedIn. We can post a clip of this on TikTok, but this one. But okay. So when I was working for a company, I ain't gonna say the company name, but we had a trip. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of blur some things out because I don't wanna, So we went on a trip, a team trip, right? So it's the sales team. I'm the only black person on the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're traveling, obviously when you travel with your team, you go out, you have fun. So we went out to have drinks. And mind you, I'm young. I'm like maybe 25, 26. I'm telling now the company's going to be out. But anyway, I'm young, right? People gonna
Just
be
go with it.
people gonna be doing it, the math. They're gonna be on LinkedIn. But anyway, we're at the bar and we're getting drinks. And so one of my coworkers, he gets around the drinks, everybody, oh yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get around the drinks. So I'm at the bar and I'm waiting. You know how sometimes it's a crowded club bar. You know how sometimes the bartender, they have to they're prioritizing who, they're managing the bar, trying to get everybody the orders. Mind you, we're in a white area. Okay. All the bartenders are white. Everybody in the club is white. Here's the ironic thing. All the music is black. Anyway, everybody's white.
Culture, the influence of the
Music
culture. But yeah,
music
go
is
ahead.
black, everybody's white, okay, which is okay, but everything's cool. Like, I'm just waiting there, trying to get my order in. And then one of my white coworkers comes up to me. He says something. I was like, man, it's taking a long time to serve me. He said, yeah, it's because you're black. And I was like, huh? What's that supposed to mean?
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then he stopped. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I was like, okay, but
I
yeah,
mean,
that's a microaggression. I don't know if that's a microaggression or a macroaggression, but that was definitely something more in the moment. I was like, it wasn't micro because I felt it and I knew what he was trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's not like you knew what he was. You knew exactly what he said because he
Yeah, I
said
knew
it.
exactly what he was trying
It's
to
not
say.
like he fluffed it up and said
Yeah,
something else. He said it.
yeah,
Because you're
exactly.
black.
So I think that's definitely an experience that I've had. I'm sure other people have felt something similar, but yeah, I'm not one of those black people that play that. I don't play that right. Like I'm from Oakland. I come from poverty. I come from all black people. So I don't play with people try to say anything negative, anything discriminatory, anything stereotypical about black people, especially in my face. I don't even like companies paying I remember I had one coworker we started together, and I could have maybe been overly sensitive or but he had just started and he's not black. And coming to the office, it's just me and him. He's like, I'm from the Bay. And so there's an artist named Mac Dre. Mac Dre is a black rapper from the Bay, one of the GOATs, right? Mind you. So he comes in, he's like, yeah, I love Mac Dre. And he puts Mac Dre on the radio in the office, in our little office that we're working in. I'm like, exactly turn that off. Like, I felt like, because again, like, I think some of our peers and again, this might have been overly sensitive. So like nowadays I'm depending on how the vibe, but I was young in my career. And I think when you're somebody I think you're ultimately going to have a chip on your shoulder. As much as it is bad, the fact of the matter is, being black in tech, you're underrepresented, people don't expect much from you. Yeah. And people are going to think that they don't expect for you to be great. They almost expect for you to be something like less than great. And so there's always this need to feel like you need to prove, you feel me? So I think when people try to come in and they do things that are acceptable perhaps for them because their skin color, I come in, I'm not with that. Like you don't understand. Like, you playing Mac Dre might be cool, but if I came in here and said the same thing to you, I love Mac Dre, and I started playing Mac Dre, do you know how I'd be perceived? Because I had a coworker like that at one company. Yeah. He was super into the rap, and the company perceived him as, I'm going to use the word ghetto. But if somebody else that comes from more privilege or that doesn't look like us does that, or comes in expressing their interest and love for our culture, they're not necessarily perceived that way, especially if they have credentials and have a good background. And, you know what I mean? Yeah, these are the things that I've experienced. I think, don't often get talked about in tech. Yeah. Now, I don't like to play. I don't play that.
Yeah.
I'll definitely say something. Now,
So what did you say? Let's go back to that first story in the bar when he was like, "Oh, you're not getting started because you're
well,
black."
first of all, now when I was a little, I was a little intoxicated, and we were out the country, and I was like, hold on, what's that supposed to mean? And
Mm-hmm.
he apologized, and I was like, all right, but I didn't let it bother me too much. It didn't like ruin my trips. I'm out the country. I'm having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Words aren't going to hurt me that bad. It's more so a reflection of who I'm dealing with. It almost like let me know kind of who I was dealing with.
Right.
Funny
Right.
enough, we actually ended up becoming kind of cool, and like he helped me, like he kind of coached me on some stuff. So people make mistakes, and again, like people have these stereotypes and things that they think they know you or
Mm-hmm.
they know your people, but they don't. So sometimes you gotta give people the benefit of the doubt, and you know. But again, it's like, so in that case, that's what happened. I asked him what he meant by it,
Yeah.
and he apologized or something. I don't remember the full conversation, and we basically moved on from that.
Yeah.
The rap thing, I was like, hey man, I just told him to turn it off because I was the tenured
Mm-hmm.
person in office. He's new. I'm like, man, turn that off, and he turned it off. And even him and I are cool because he's a cool person and he authentically liked Mac Dre.
Right.
Like, I can't sweat that. Again, it's just, I
So
think it's
let's
me
focus on that
projecting.
one.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Like, do you think, like, in hindsight, do you think it was offensive because he has the privilege in a way to show up as however he likes, because this is something that generally he liked this artist?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
And
was
it kind of,
that like part
I
of it
think,
too.
I think it's that. I think it's that. I think also, like, rappers don't be making rap like, if I'm a white person, I can't sing a rap song the way I want to sing a rap song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I watched the movie, but we're gonna use a curse word with when on that Jay-Z and Kanye West song when they say niggas in Paris.
Yep.
If I'm white, I can't sing that song the way
Yep.
I like would want. Like, so these rappers, these artists they're making music they're telling their stories. And yes, if you're from a different background, you might find aspects of the story that you can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's it's the story. And so when I'm in the office, when I'm in the office, I don't necessarily want to share that story. I'm going to relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want to express that in a professional setting. And also, it makes me uncomfortable. It should make me uncomfortable when a fucking rap song come on, like it's nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that, and I'm the only black person in the office. That shit just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, I think to me, it's more so like I don't like when people aren't mindful of that time. It's like have some type of emotional intelligence. Like have some type of emotional intelligence. Like it ain't all cool. Like I'm not sure. Like we are in a professional setting.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah,
what I don't like about it sometimes is also the assumptions that because you're black, you're supposed to like certain things or do certain things in a
that's
certain
another
way.
thing. That's another thing.
That's the piece to me where I'm like, that pisses me off so many times, where people like make assumptions about me because I'm a black woman and they're like, oh, you probably love to go and like dance, for example. And I'm like, no, I absolutely hate that actually. Like I don't. That's not something I look forward to. I don't like doing it. Like if I'm in larger settings, absolutely not. Like I just don't, or singing or whatever. I'm not like a performing. I'm not performing for you for any reason. Like unless I want to do something, then I would do it. But the assumption that also as a black woman that like you can dance and you should be able to, that's another part I think of the black culture, that there's that assumption that you should be able to do this too. And if you can't, then you're also not, like, either you're not black enough or you don't belong in this group.
Yeah. I would love to play Mac Dre because believe me, there are days I got my spirit. There are days when I'm cold and I'm listening to Mac Dre, like, or even
Yeah.
between calls, I'm listening to some rap music. Believe me, but I just think when it comes to that type of stuff playing at the office, the fact of the matter is, I don't think I can be my authentic self. I think that if I'm my authentic self, I'm gonna be basically put into a box of a stereotype of, oh yeah, we knew you like that rap shit,
Mm-hmm.
and all that comes with that culture. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's more of a strategic thing where, yeah, I like this stuff, but don't get it twisted. Like, I'm multifaceted.
Right.
So I'd rather, I think, for me, that particular situation, it was more so like, okay, I'm trying to protect my own how people perceive me in the office by like making sure that they don't put me into some box that I don't want to be in.
But they might already do that without you saying or showing anything anyway.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's gonna happen regardless. People are gonna put you in a box.
Yeah.
That just happens regardless. I think there was an actor, Idris Elba. He said something like, "I don't want to be perceived as a black actor. I just want to be perceived as an actor."
Mm-hmm.
And
I saw that.
you saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to, somebody else was talking, and it was like, "Well, I get it, but then I don't get it. Like, don't shine away from being black. Shine away from the people that put being black in a box." So,
Exactly.
like, ain't nothing wrong with being a black actor. What's wrong is the box that they put black actors in. So, yeah.
That was an interesting one because literally a few days after seeing that post, I think I saw it on Instagram originally, I then saw another post from him on Facebook where he was being super black in quotation marks. And he was visiting some country in Africa and he was, wearing the typical West African outfit and, showing up, and now he's all about the black culture. And it was like, well, that's very misleading because you were just saying you did not want to be in that category. And then, I don't know, a couple of days later, you now put yourself in that category in a different context. So it's like, maybe we didn't get the whole situation to judge it by, or it was just straight up misleading and dishonest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going through
I don't know.
he got so much money. I don't know what's going on. He might, I don't know.
Exactly. And
He's in a different stratosphere. I don't even know what he's thinking about. I don't know what his strategy is. It could be,
exactly.
I think he was filming a movie called The Beast or something where he was in Africa. So maybe he was wearing that stuff for
Yes.
his costume. Who knows? But I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
this is an interesting episode. Very, very deep.
Yeah.
This was not the tech sales experience. This is the black tech sales experience. Special
Well,
episode.
those are our experiences, right?
Yeah.
But I also come from a different upbringing and where there has been a lot of assumptions for me from other people, like who I am, what I believe in, what, how I grew up, just based on how I look, right? And I'll finish up with this one, but I remember when I moved to Boston and I was in my early 20s. I just turned 21 at that point, and it was around that time. And this was actually the first time in my life that I had been in a big room or at the party, with where the white person, the only woman that was white, was there, and she was now the minority. And I had never been in a room where I was simply around other Black people. I did not grow up like that. I grew up in Sweden where the only family that was Black was my family. And then you would see some other families here and there in surrounding towns or whatever. I grew up in a small town, but so that was the first time in my early 20s where I was in a room full of Black people. And I was like, holy shit. Like, that was a completely different experience, which most people wouldn't assume about me because they look at me and they go, well, you're Black and you're a woman, you should be used to this. And it's like, but I'm not, outside of my own family and cousins and whatnot. I've been in rooms with just family and we have a big family, but the people outside of my family, I hadn't been in that context before. So for me, like, that was new. That was a different experience. And it wasn't actually until I had moved to the US where I really started to see what racism could be and what it is. That had not been a thing on my radar growing up in Sweden to that extent. I had experienced a lot of microaggressions growing up, but I never experienced, like I said before, that direct attack to me. I have other family members who have experienced that, but I haven't personally. but a lot of microaggression. So yeah, that was a completely different experience where I was like, oh, whoa, this is interesting. You know?
Yeah. No, that's cool though. I mean, I know I had to be shocked being. That's like when people go to an HBCU and it's all black people. See, I grew up. Actually, I kind of grew up in a diverse area. Oakland was predominantly black and Mexican, so
Yeah.
I grew up with a lot of Mexican friends, and then obviously in the Bay, you have like a lot of um, Asian people from India, and so I have friends from Fiji. I actually grew up always having like multicultural friends of all different races, Brazilian. I've known people from all backgrounds. That's just a nature of growing up in the Bay. But
exactly. But when you grow up in a country like Sweden and you go to school and all your friends are white and you're the only black person.
I've never experienced that.
Yeah, trust me, it is. I don't even know how to describe it, but I constantly felt like an outsider in so many different ways, all the way from early childhood up until I moved, in so many different parts of me that I didn't know, that I'd never acknowledged, or things that I wasn't aware of. Like that's the other piece of that too, that obviously affects you and the perception, but also like just who you are.
Yeah, I think that's a whole different type of ball game. It's one thing for me to grow up in a place that is just diverse. So maybe not everybody's black, but it's like everybody versus everybody's white.
Mm-hmm.
You the black person. Like that is a different experience that I can't relate to. I experienced that. I experienced that when I broke into tech.
Yeah.
But
that's what we should talk about next time, the transition on depending on the background. And maybe we should bring in some other people too to hear their experiences, right, from different backgrounds, and seeing, okay, well, coming and transitioning into tech wherever you came from before, what was that experience like for you? What was like for me? What was like for somebody else? And just hearing, different perspectives, different stories.
Yeah, I can talk about that. I'm with it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm with it. I just like to talk.
I know. It's good to talk. You can process a lot too.
Huh?
You can process a lot by talking out loud.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good to like be able to reflect and think about your life and your feelings. This is my therapy. Little do you know.
All right. Well, I'll send you the bill afterwards.
Okay. All right.
Kidding. You're like, damn, I have to go.
Yeah.
No. This is all good. I love having these conversations, and I look forward to next week.
Yes, looking forward to the next one. Until next time.
Follow and like on YouTube.
Oh, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Subscribe. Click the bell or wherever the bell is. Click the bell somewhere.